You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Pryor. A toolkit for confidence. How to build unshakable self-confidence.
Ladies, oh my gosh. It's always a pleasure when I get to have as a guest on my show. Like, she's just a regular gal. What she has done is create an extraordinary life for herself in so many ways, 10x'd her vision and her experience of her life. And we started working together a long time ago. Maybe when I introduced Julie, she'll know exactly when. But it is really exciting because my intention for this episode is for you to sort of what I call like stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Like if you could like see what it looks like on the other side of the fence when you take what you know about yourself and you translate it into transformation, it's going to be really inspiring. So I hope that you get some inspiration. I think Julie's going to talk a little bit about how she sets herself up for success, and that there is going to be plenty for you to, as we say, life check yourself by the time we get to talking to Julie. So let me formally introduce you. Julie is a CPG brand builder, growth strategist, and a consultant, and she works with consumer packaged goods companies, are helping her clients build and strengthen their brands. She helps them increase their revenue. They all make more money. And I think also really help the people that she works with create the impact that they want. I've had the opportunity to do some mindset training with her clients, and I never go into a grocery store or buy anything in the same way anymore, because I think that this was somebody's vision and their mission, and she helps them do that. She came to this work because she was doing a lot of leading and developing brand and marketing for companies like McDonald's, Stop and Shop, Giant Foods, Divine Chocolate, Whole Foods, Earth Fare. And she was like, you know what? I want to do my own thing. So now she works with these entrepreneurs and she helps them build thriving, successful, and impactful brands and businesses. So thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
Do you remember what year it was that we first met?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was circa 2017. So it might have even been before that. It's probably been 8 or 9 years, maybe 10 years, Marnie.
But we look exactly the same.
Exactly. Exactly. And Zoom is kind enough to blend out some gray hairs. So I thank you for that.
Exactly. So, it's funny because like when I tell my story, I think of like the point A transformation, like, and then there's like the next one and the next one. But if you just kind of like, if you can give us the like 2-minute highlight reel of when you very first came to me, what it was like for you. Tell me a little bit about that. What was life like and what were you going through?
I remember feeling frustrated that I wasn't able to create the results in my life that I wanted, whether it was personally or professionally. I felt stuck. I felt like I was doing the same things over and over and getting the same results, which, as many of you listening know, that's really frustrating. And so, one of my core values is personal development. And I knew that I was in a place where I needed to grow. I needed outside perspective. I needed to learn. I wanted to learn from somebody who had been where I was,
right,
and somebody who had worked through it and found the courage and the skills and the confidence to grow. And so that's what attracted me to you and your program.
That's amazing. Okay, so you're single, right? You were single. So you started on the journey. I think like if you're going to look at just some of the things that you've done, and we're going to talk about version 1 of our working together. In that short time period when we first worked together, you made a lot of things change for you just like right out of the gate. What were some of those things?
Yeah. Gosh, Marnie, you're taking me back down memory lane.
Right.
So I think one of the biggest things for me was learning to heal some victim energy that I had, because I was in a place of things are happening to me versus being able to see and believe that things were happening for me. And so starting to make that mindset shift was pretty powerful as a first step. The other piece was, and this is going to sound, as a lot of my clients say, I don't want to be woo-wooey, but I'm going to be woo-wooey today. So the other piece was learning to love who I was and learning to embrace all the things that make me me, because up until then, I was looking externally for validation. I was looking for other people to kind of guide me and tell me what to do versus listening to myself. So in order to listen to myself, I needed to start to love and accept me for who I was.
I love that. So you put that in place. You met the guy that you've been in a relationship with for a few years.
Yep.
You decided that you didn't want to work in corporate anymore, that you had this sense that you wanted to be a consultant and start your own business. So when you just think about the first leaps, like you did those two things and you look back from where you started when you came, like what is it that you sort of like, if you knew when you started that that would be on the other side, if you took the leap, what would you tell people, right? Because that's like, we always talk about here, like, when I say create a life beyond your wildest dreams, it's not like yes, you want a person in your life, but you weren't like, and I'm going to leave corporate, I'm going to start a business, had to be like a stepmom. Like a lot of those things weren't in the actual plan. So what would you say to people who are like a little bit afraid, and what it's like on the other side once you start this journey?
Oh gosh, what would I say? I would say that it's a process, and the process is about having the courage to make new choices, having the courage to ask for help, having the courage to look within, and having the courage to trust yourself. So many people I meet, and when I think back to where I was looking for everyone else to tell me what to do. And so this really is a practice and a process of building the muscle of trusting ourselves. And through that comes inner knowing. Through that comes alignment, one day at a time. And so being in alignment, feeling the excitement of what I might create each day, and then building momentum is what moved me forward.
Oh my gosh, that's so articulate and amazing. I was thinking about this, like, and you and I talk about this a lot when we're, you're looking at your clients who want to hire you, or I'm looking at clients to work with me, and they say like, oh, well, I can't invest in that, right? For whatever reason, right? And I was talking to one of the people who I've had on my podcast who's like a wealth coach. She said it so articulately. She was like, that's not a money problem. That's a self-trust problem, right? Like not trusting in themselves to do the work, to believe in that they can create what they want. And so I really want to underscore that self-trust piece for people who are listening,
because it's so easy to think about what you can't do based on this old story. And that can often be a defense mechanism for something deeper that needs to be looked at, which is like, it's hard to trust other people if I can't trust myself. It's hard to really create a relationship or a business if there's a part of me that doesn't think that I'm capable. So that's what you said about developing self-trust is like not to be like, yeah, that's cool, self-trust. Okay, so we worked together, I don't know how many years. You make these big changes, and then you start your business. And when we first kind of reconnected in about May of 2023, you were in your business and you'd been doing it for like 2.5 years, and you felt a little stuck again. So tell people like what was going on for you then. What was it like? What were you bumping up against?
I was bumping up against, I was being lazy. I was being lazy with my marketing. And while I wouldn't have characterized it as lazy, the feeling that I had was that I wasn't connecting emotionally with my clients. I wasn't connecting as meaningfully. And so I had the awareness that there was a gap there. And I felt like I was trying really hard, right? I felt like I was using words that felt generic. They felt flat. And I am somebody who loves words. I love the power of words. I love saying things in a really clear way. And so for me, I was out of alignment. I wanted more meaningful conversation. I wanted to communicate more clearly, and I was stuck.
Yeah, so and this is really interesting too, is that going back to new level, new devil, right? Because I think this is an important thing, is that it takes a certain muscle to like start the business, right? And then you're like, wow, I did it. Yay me, And then you get to this certain level. And I think there's some mythology where people are like, well, once I do the thing, then I won't have any more problems. I won't have to grow anymore. I can kick off my shoes and chill, like for the eternal bliss that is like solving problem X. And what you found was like, oh crap, new level, new devil. So it's almost like there was like a whole new area of confidence that you were lacking, that was leaking. I talk about leaking in dating, right? That was leaking into your business. Tell everyone sort of like, how is that actually showing up in your business? Like, was it in sales calls? You talked about it was in your marketing, even in the way that you were interacting with clients or partners. Like, tell me a little bit about how you noticed that was leaking.
One way was a feeling. I wasn't feeling 100% confident. I felt those little voices of self-doubt creeping in. I started second guessing myself. I started trying to fix the words without having the clarity in order to guide the words. So it was an energetic leaking. I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted, right? Part of my why for running a business is so that I can create more impact, so that I can leave a legacy that feels meaningful, that I am really proud of. And when I was starting to notice that the results that I wanted weren't happening, I knew intuitively that I needed to make some changes. And Marnie, one thing I do want to share for anyone listening is you've mentioned that, from when I first knew you to today, there have been, seemingly big changes in my life. They didn't feel big at the time. It felt more like I was shedding the old and I was stepping into more freedom, and I was stepping into more clarity, and I was taking better care of myself and making I'm like getting goosebumps right now. But I was making choices that excited me, right? I was no longer willing to settle for a mediocre version of what I thought life should look like. I was like fully stepping into what I wanted. And so at the time, these things didn't feel so big, right? It just felt like another baby step in the process. So for anyone listening who's like, oh, I want to feel that moment of like, aha, that wasn't it. It was like, it was just incremental, right? And now when I look back, I can say, oh my gosh, look where I was then and look where I am today. But while I was in it, it didn't feel like anything extraordinary.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too. I feel like in my own transformation that sometimes it's just like doing the next thing, right? Like you're just like, I can't remember. Was it Friends where they have Joey put on like all these layers of clothes?
Yeah.
I can't remember the context, but I just remember he's walking around, you know, in like 27 layers of clothes. And that's how it feels like to me when things are not aligned, right? And you're just like, it's awkward and it's like uncomfortable. And you're like, I just want to get it off, but you don't know how, right? So what I hear you saying is that you were just doing whatever it was required in the next step to like become more of you, to become more of you. And things started to feel more aligned and more resonant. And then it feels lighter, right? You're not walking around like Joey with like 17 outfits on.
I was willing to risk showing up as my authentic self. I was no longer worried about what will they think. It was the energy of here I am. And that's been my process with you. It's not the, oh, I'm ashamed of this, I'm afraid to say this. It's about taking up space, and it's about stepping into the life that I'm here to create and that I'm here to have for myself.
I love this. So here it's what's interesting. I was looking at some of the goals you set before our call here, before our show. That you had some goals coming into working together. And it was about feeling more confident and being able to express yourself, enrolling and getting new clients and those that you want to continue with you, having confidence, sharing with your clients that I can help you grow your business, having confidence, asking for, you know, the enrollment if people had fears that translated into like objections or concerns, and being able to share on social media as like an industry leader, and then creating a practice, a stillness practice in which you feel connected and aligned. And you probably forgot those were your goals.
Yeah, they sound familiar though.
Yeah, we did a lot of that, and we've been continuing doing. But so let's share so what does life look now after really taking on this challenge to be more of who you are at this next phase of your life, your next chapter?
Well, I have a little list in front of me because I did a little bit of prep as I was reflecting on our time together. So part of, and I want to share one quick thing before I address this.
Yeah.
Is, you know, part of what motivated me to work together in this, you know, kind of deeply in this, I really see our work as a partnership, right? And
yes.
So what motivated me to say yes to myself and to us working together was I felt like I had grown my business to where I could on my own. And in order for me to get to that next level, I knew I needed to work with somebody who was already there and somebody who could very pragmatically and also in a way that inspired me, would help me grow my mindset, would help me learn new skills, would help me have the courage to try new things and experiment, and would also help me take some calculated risks. And so that was part of my why for working together. And I really wanted, and I know this might sound really boring, I really wanted accountability. And so for me, right, accountability is one of those things that people kind of, I think, you know, minimize or they kind of sweep it under the rug. But what I'm learning is that having accountability so that I do what I say I'm going to do, so that those couple of projects that I'm procrastinating on, I bring them back to the forefront and I recommit. I recommit to actions and to projects that are actually going to grow my business. And so the accountability piece has been huge. That's something that, I wouldn't have seen the success had I not had that accountability.
I love that. I was just doing a game plan call, like a kickoff call with a new client, and we set the goals and we broke it down to the first 2 weeks. And she was like, first of all, I don't think I would have come up with these goals. Second of all, I just look at them and I'm like, well, how do I get there? And I was like, cool, here's what you're going to do next week. And I love that you said, you don't want to sweep it under the table, because if I look at my own, and I think this is true for people that resonate with this, if you look back about like what the things you did that were successful, did you have some sort of external structure or accountability? And if you take that inventory and you go, oh crap, that just makes it less stressful, because I always show up for myself in that way when there is an accountability. Notice that whether it's with me or someone else, like there is no shame in wanting structure and accountability if that is what optimizes your ability to be more of you. So I think that's such an important point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so, right, the accountability helps me stay focused. So the things that are different now are, I feel I have tools and systems to help me get clarity. And with clarity comes focus. With clarity comes confidence. With clarity comes my ability to more genuinely express myself, which, as you mentioned, was one of my goals. With clarity also makes it easier to say no or not right now. And it makes it easier to say yes, because I know when there's alignment. And so that could apply to working with existing clients. That could apply to working with new clients. It might be in identifying a new potential partnership, right? It might be understanding what my clients need for training and saying, yes, this is what we're going to focus on in Q1, and this is going to wait to Q2. So now I feel like I have some daily practices to stay centered and focused. I have some systems that support me when I'm feeling a bit wobbly. I have access to you, which helps with real-time guidance. It helps with having a sounding board. It helps for processing, because if I can leave you a message and I hear myself, sometimes I play it back and I get the answer I need without even waiting for you. And so all these pieces, it's like I have like a built-in support system, a built-in cheering squad that challenges me to think differently and to continuously show up as my best self. And those are the things that are helping me both up level and in level.
I love that. I have a couple of examples I just want to share, because I think like if I was to do the highlight reel of Julie's evolution is a partnership that you had formed when you were a newbie, that you sort of like maybe undervalued yourself, but like it was a really important connection. And recently going back and renegotiating that, right? And you're not beholden to them because they like gave you your first start, to go back and say, no, this doesn't feel right anymore. So I'm going to talk about a couple, and then you can pick one you want to talk about. I also think a huge win for you is asking really challenging questions when people would say, oh, it's not a fit. Right? You were like, okay, let's talk about it, which I know was like so outside your comfort zone with the old story so many people have on bad at sales. You have people reaching out to you on social media, DMing you because they get what you do and they want to work with you. And then that is the capstone of like, you go and you get paid to go speak in person at an event, are so confident and clear that you have people like coming out of the woodwork, sort of being like, hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you help me with that? So, I mean, those are just a couple, like free, and maybe you have more in your highlight reel, but can you just speak to some of those and like what it's meant to you and how it's impacted your life, your business? Just talk a little bit about those amazing things, because I'm celebrating those for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of each of those. So I think one term, one concept that I've really taken to heart is this idea of a value exchange. And in order to have and put a value exchange in place, I needed to own my value. And so value exchange for me, the result is alignment, is integrity and alignment, right? So when I'm owning my value and I can express, here's what I need in order to feel like I am being valued in this equation and to feel that I am able to serve you and serve our clients through this partnership, I get really clear on what my portion of that value exchange is. And then it gives the other party an opportunity to say, okay, I hear what you need and here's what we need. And so then we can create something that meets both of our needs and that has mutual alignment and that from the beginning feels good to both of us. And so for some of those examples, right, I approach them with this mindset of what do I need in order to feel valued, in order to feel like I can have the impact that I want to have, and then vice versa for this partner. And so that was a big win for me, for sure. The other piece that I'll touch on is I was really scared to ask some of those questions that felt hard.
Right.
And what was underneath that for me was I wanted to be liked. I wanted people to like me. So, you know, there was some message from early on in my childhood that by asking the tough questions, it creates an uncomfortable situation and then I'm not going to be liked. And so through my work with you, I was able to see that by asking the tough questions, I'm actually being of service.
Yeah.
I am meeting the other person where their own personal obstacles are coming into play. I'm aware of them, I'm acknowledging them, and I'm really asking them, what is it that you need in order to move forward and how can I support you? And so when I looked at those seemingly difficult conversations through the lens of how can I be of service? How can I help you? It became a lot easier, especially after practicing. So it's the same muscle I talked about earlier with that self-trust.
Yeah.
It's the muscle that grows with practice. It's the muscle that grows with knowing I've got this, and whatever the outcome, I'm going to be okay. And whatever the outcome, I know that I care about this person's success and I'm doing what I can to help them. And so that for me is enough. And by asking the questions, it's actually in service of them. And it's also in service of me stepping into my power of not letting them off the hook easily, because by doing that,
Right.
they're doing themselves a disservice.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Okay. Last little topic. It's a huge topic.
Yeah.
Is about lifestyle, right? Because when you and I first talked, this go round, you're like, I want to have more freedom in my lifestyle. It's a big change with the mentality of working in corporate and then starting your own gig, and people struggle with structure or overworking or underworking or not taking vacations or not setting boundaries with clients, especially when you're in the consulting business. So let's talk about what is your lifestyle like now and how is it different? Like what's changed about that?
Gosh. Let me count the ways. Well, every day looks different. And every day for me is the practice of asking myself, what do I need? And what is urgent and important that will move the needle, either on my business or in my personal life. And so, most mornings, I talked about having systems to support me. Most mornings I have kind of a morning success formula that I use. So, a walk is usually part of that equation, a meditation, some journaling, a cup of coffee. And it took me a little bit of getting used to the fact that all of that did not have to be done by 8:00, or 7:30. And so I've softened a little bit with my expectations of myself in the morning. Some mornings that process takes me to 9:30 or 10. And then I know that I have calls in the afternoon, so I prep for those. So I've become more flexible, but it's flexible in a focused way. I'm more focused on the priorities and what is going to really be in alignment with my goals and my vision, versus having a to-do list where I need to check off every single thing. But I'll share, it's been a process. This isn't something that just
you wake up one day
magically happened.
Right.
Yeah. And some days there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done, right? And it's important. So some days I'm at my desk at 7:30, I'm ready to go because that's the reality as well. But Marnie, you talked about the importance of freedom to me.
Yes.
And one of the things I love about running my own business is I can close down at 2:00 because my niece and nephew are having an event, and family is one of my core values, and so I want to make sure I don't miss that important event that they have taking place. So I love that I can build my schedule around what's important in my life. That's really important for me.
And you got to take a vacation.
I did. I did an experiment this summer. I have been wanting to, so for those of you listening, my parents are European. I spent a lot of time in England and France growing up, and it was really important to me that I get back to my roots, and I spend some time in France this summer. So I was in France for several weeks, and I experimented with what does it look like to be on vacation and work, kind of part-time. And it was great. It was a really just, enjoyable and fruitful experiment.
And having the confidence to do that is really important, because the old way is like, oh, I need to be available from 9 to 5 Eastern time. And I need, all the shoulds that we don't even realize that we have. I know in my own business too, you're like, I have a lot of unconscious shoulds. Like I should really just question them at the very minimal, right? And do an experiment. We do a lot of experiments, right? And then you see what's the feedback? What did I learn? What did I want to keep? What do I want to change? So last thing, if you were to sort of think about, what someone listening can take away from the experience, the very scary experience of investing yourself at a high level, showing someone your messy closet, so to speak, right? Letting someone in, and then finally actually realizing you don't have to do everything by yourself, and that with support and partnership, you can kind of catapult yourself. What's been your takeaway from all of that maybe people might find helpful?
Let's see. I think the first thing is that timing in life is really important. So during this phase of my life, right, the past 6 months, Marnie, I have been committed, right? I saw this time as, this is a time, there's an opportunity here that I want to choose for myself. I am 100% committed to my growth. I'm 100% committed to asking for help. I'm 100% committed to being really messy. And sometimes it does not feel good. Right. And sometimes I don't want you to see all my stuff because there's stuff that I'm not proud of. And that's hard. For someone listening, I think it's important to be really honest with yourself around what is your commitment level, right? If you're a 2 or 3 right now, then maybe it's not the right time to work with somebody. But if you're a 10 and you're like, let's do this, and you are, come hell or high water, you're going to reach those goals and you want to get to your next level, then maybe it's time to hire a coach who's been where you are. And so I think it's important to really be honest with ourselves about, if I were to say yes, am I saying yes because it feels like I should say yes? Or am I saying yes because I feel so strongly about saying yes to myself and I want to say yes to partnership with somebody who wants to help me? I think that's just a really important consideration, right? Like there's no pressure to work with anybody. It's about wanting something so deeply, so fervently for myself that this is my time to make that happen. And so that was a big part of my consideration.
I love this because when you say like I'm committed and then looking at what am I going to do with that energy, and the thing that I'll add before we wrap up is I think this is really beautiful is that sometimes people look at like where they are and where they want to go and they throw up their hands and they're like, too hard. What's wrong with me? I'm not enough. I'm not capable, right? And they hear the whisper and they turn away. And what I like to say, and what I think you do a great job of literally every single day, because we talk almost every day, you say like, if there's tension between where I am and where I want to be, I'm going to use that tension and I'm going to take it and turn it into my intention. And I'm going to stretch and I am going to grow and I'm going to learn because, look, I have a quote. This was up in my dad's office. My daughter, she's so cute. She took it from my dad's office when my dad passed away and put it in her apartment with her sister. And so for the holidays, she made a copy of it, gave it to me for my office. But it says this: I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. You are in charge. We are in charge of our attitude. We are in charge of what we do when we experience what life is giving us. And so you are one and you're like, bring it on. Let's do it. And I love you. You're amazing. So thank you for being here.
Oh, gosh, Marnie, right back at you. And it's funny that you mentioned your saying on your desk. I have one on my desk that you just reminded me of that says, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And so I look at that and I think there is no failing, right? If I try this and it doesn't work, then what am I learning that I can take forward? And so, you talk a lot about having a mastery orientation. And if something feels too hard, if I'm too tired, if I'm feeling resistance, that's the opportunity to make a new choice. And it's the opportunity to be accountable to myself for what I've said is important and not let myself down. And so I don't always do it. I mean, there's no perfect, right? It's messy. It's messy and it's authentic. And if it's authentic, if it feels authentic to me, then that's the right choice for me. And that's my litmus test.
Oh my gosh. And I know your clients love your authenticity and love working with you. So yay, my evil plan to create a ripple effect in the world is working. Wahahaha. I love it. Ladies, thank you so much for listening. Julie, thank you for giving up your time to share. It's so inspirational. Lots of juicy nuggets in here, ladies. If you feel like someone oh my God, you need to listen to, like, if you're thinking of giving up in your business, send this to the person who's like, needs that extra dose of like, you got this, girl. So share this episode, re-listen. You can find out more about what we're doing here. on Instagram, it's Marni Battista _ and of course on good old fashioned Facebook, where us old fogies are, Marni Battista. And also on YouTube, we've got lots of content, long form content on YouTube, and that is called Life Check Yourself. So with that, Julie, thank you. And remember, ladies, it's a brand new day. Seize it, life check yourself, and then make an adjustment because you have all the power. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.